Morning, it's 10:01. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, we've all had an opportunity to review the agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved. Second.
Discussion, changes? All in favor?
Aye.
We'll restate the agenda items. First, we'll have public input on non-agenda items. We have a consent agenda with 3 items. No unfinished business. Under new business, we have Dr. Banyan with strategic plan, updated life safety fee schedule, updates on board policies, the chief's annual evaluation, Trish remarks, our remarks, and then we will adjourn. At this time, is there any public input on non-agenda items? Seeing none, we'll move forward. Consent agenda, including meeting minutes, general fund checks for July, and capital fund checks for July as well. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? Questions? Public input? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Takes us to new business, number 8A. Chief?
Very good. So it's that time to do the update on our strategic plan. And we have a short presentation today, but I'm going to let Jane introduce Dr. Banyan and our company.
Of course. Good morning, commissioners, chief, staff. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Banyan. She also prepared the 2022 to 2025 strategic plan that just expired. She does a wonderful job of pulling all the information together. A lot of community involvement, stakeholders, staff, etc. So we were so happy with the currently expiring plan that we asked her to come back and update the plan through 2029. So it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Margaret Banyan.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Jane, and thank you, Chief. I'm happy to be back and work with the district on the strategic plan update. This is work that I've been doing in a lot of different communities, so it's always a pleasure to be able to come back and work with the district again, because I think some of the previous knowledge and the institutional knowledge can be really valuable to the process. So I have a short presentation to share, and then just if you've got some comments or feedback, happy to take that at that time. So. Okay, are we seeing my presentation?
We are.
Okay, great. So I think just the first thing, just to kind of provide sort of a reminder about strategic planning. I do this because I think they're really important as an implementation tool. And so just as a reminder about why engage in some strategic planning efforts. Some of you have seen this presentation before, so this may be a reminder. But really, strategic planning and strategic plans should help the district set some priorities. You can't do everything. And so because there are limited resources, limited staff time, limited funding, it just helps to kind of set a good groundwork for your next steps and what it is you really want to accomplish. One of to your vision and your mission is really important in a plan so that it's aligned. And then the last thing is what kind of indicators. So the other big chunk of a plan that I think we might want to work on more with this plan too is how do you measure success? I know that you're doing good work in sort of tying it to some of your decisions. And so how do you measure in each subsequent plan, how do you measure success as an organization and success in the plan? One thing I will note is that strategic plans are not effectively make some decisions when things change. So typical components of strategic plans that I work on and that you'll see in your previous 2022-25 plan is the section on mission, vision, and values, a section on current conditions, and so that's kind of looking to see where are we at now. Then there's typically a section on the SWOT analysis that many of you have been part of. So that's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Strengths and weaknesses being current strengths and current weaknesses. Opportunities and threats is typically future. What's happening in the future? What are the opportunities in the future? What are the threats in the future that you need to pay attention to? And then a little section on critical issues and service gaps. That section is meant to bridge what are the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, and what do we need to think about next. And then in lots of my plans that you also have in your plan is a section on, I call it a goal-based plan, but what are the goals, objectives, what are the critical tasks, what's the timeline look like, and possibly who can lead those efforts or who should be leading those efforts. And then the last piece is around performance measures. And I know you've had the state required performance measures, so we'll want to tie some of those in to just make sure you have a plan that's well aligned with your other plans. So the last kind of note down at the bottom of that screen is that all of this should be supported by data and stakeholder input. And so when I say stakeholders, I mean commissioners, I mean staff, I mean leadership, and I mean members of the public. So again, sort of having a pretty comprehensive plan is helpful when you can talk to all of those different stakeholders to get their perspectives. Just want to note about your 2022-2025 strategic plan. When you look at that, when you look at this plan, I'm not going to go into any detail. It's laid out pretty much in that same format that we talked about. Also in that 2022-25 plan, we added an appendix, and that appendix was all of the results from the community survey. And so sometimes I'll do that as an appendix that's not included in the plan. Sometimes I'll attach it. So that's something that you can weigh in on, you know, or chief and leadership can weigh in on about how you want that to go. What's the best use for the district? There's some additional pieces that we could think about in the next update. Sometimes I create kind of a one-pager, and that one-page plan is kind of handy to pass out or to refer to at meetings. So those are some other opportunities that are not in your current 2022-25 plan. So just a quick kind of update. This is always a good place to start when you start thinking about engaging in strategic planning. The current mission and vision should be sort of helping to guide all of the decisions that you make. You've done some work on this already. I don't anticipate necessarily you re-engaging this mission and vision. Certainly, it's something that we can do if that's something that you think is important. And you've been operating under a pretty well-developed mission and vision, so we can talk about whether you think that there might need to be changes there. And I'm happy to go back to this slide if you want to talk about it more today, but you have it in front of you if you want to just quickly review. Then a couple other thoughts here is that when you also look at your 2022-25 plan, what you'll see is these 5 different perspectives. I call them strategic plan perspectives. It's based on what's called the balanced scorecard. And the balanced scorecard has been used in a lot of strategic plans nationally. It's been well studied. And what the balanced scorecard does is takes different perspectives on your plan. That's important because sometimes in strategic plans, we get so embedded in the details of what's happening now, we kind of forget about some of the other elements that are important. So these 5 perspectives are both internal and external. So the financial perspective and the stakeholder kind of community perspective, those are more internal and external focused. So you have sort of these external views on what the district might be accomplishing. I call them internal and external because, of course, some of your customer service elements, some of your financial elements are internal, but they're also involve external decisions and events. And then the other 2, operations and learning and growth. Operations is kind of thinks about what it is that you do as an organization. Do you want to make inroads on sort of technology issues, or are you thinking about cybersecurity, or are you thinking about other kind of tools? That's kind of the operations, which is the what is it that the district's doing. Then learning and growth, we sort of sometimes adapt that perspective, but that's really taking on how are people in the organization working? Are there initiatives that we want to work on from staffing? What's that picture look like? So it's really more about the people that work in the organization. And then the last big circle that I think is really important is thinking about the governance aspect. Sometimes boards and commissions will have their own goals and their own strategy in terms of what is the governance look like and what are your goals for governance. That may be smaller or bigger depending on the year. So, but I like to add it because I think it's an important element, especially when we're working in public environments and with elected officials and organizations that really are sort of paying attention to that governance piece. So just quickly, sort of, this is the major focus for the 26-29 plan in terms of how it would roll out. And I have a timeline next too, but looking at data for the current conditions would be the first step. That would include interviews with commissioners, and then a phase assessing the current conditions to sort of look at what do we know about currently that can help us understand a little bit more what's happening in the future. More or less at the same time, facilitating additional stakeholder input, and that again will hopefully be a good amount of community input. Also work with the staff, the shifts, and other stakeholders that you might find important. And then we'll look at changes, if any, to the major goals. Sometimes I think with strategic plans, your big priorities don't change all that much, but it's how you achieve your priorities. That's usually where we see a lot more change. So your big priorities, major goals may not be something that you want to work on, but certainly in terms of objectives, I would anticipate you doing that. And then finally, establish priorities and objectives to finalize the plan. And then we would be bringing it back to the board for adoption. I do want to note that it is, this is a document that the board does adopt, so it does become, and I don't know if we adopt or accept now. You're going to have to help me on that one. But it's approved by the board. And just quickly, here's sort of an estimated timeline. Thinking about launching with my discussion one-on-one with each of you between now and September, at the end of September. Doing some internal and external meetings between now and the end of September. We would want to launch an online community survey Usually, I want to launch that sooner because we want to leave that open for probably at least a month to get sufficient input. And then we would be working on looking at all of that data to looking at the gaps and any recommendations. All embedded in each of these steps is staff review. I like to work closely with staff and leadership because that review process, for me, it's kind of co-production. I'm facilitating some of the information, but it's really a leadership-driven process and feedback. So then I would draft the plan. We would do the presentation, anticipated for November 19th. And then it just takes me a few days to update if you have any feedback at that point. It takes me a few days to finalize the feedback, go through any edits, make sure I have all the information correct, anticipating delivering the final plan around November 30th, December 1, that time frame. So that's it for me. I want to engage in any discussion or questions. I'm going to stop sharing at this point so I can see you a little better. But happy to go back to any slides that you want to review or want to talk more about.
Commissioner Fleming, anything, Dr. Banyan?
So we want to have this done by the end of December?
Correct.
And when are all our meetings going to start? And what's expected of me in this whole process?
So I think I heard that. I wasn't totally clear on it. Did you, Commissioner Fleming, did you ask what's expected of you and commissioners?
Yes.
Yeah, good question. So what I would want to do is start with about a 30 to 45 minute, depending on how much you wanted to talk, just discussion on what you were looking for. I would do that individually with each commissioner. And then when we start to launch the online survey, your networks are really important. And so helping me distribute that online survey would be highly valuable. And I think that you helped last time. I think you helped provide some networks. That's really helpful because people know you. They don't necessarily know me. So it's good if you can help send out the link. And I would, of course, prepare the email introduction and everything for you to send out. Make it as easy on your time as possible. And then, when we get ready to do the adoption, having you read through, make sure you're happy with the document, and that's kind of broad stroke what I would expect time-wise from each commissioner.
So to add to Dr. Banyan's response, we met with her, staff met with Dr. Banyan last week and kind of went through this overview. And so for the commissioner, she's looking to meet with you sometime between now and the end of September. So we'll work around your schedule.
Is that going to be in person or Zoom?
Zoom,
Right, Doctor? Yeah, it would be virtual.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ron. Commissioner Nickel?
Thank you, Commissioner. Doctor, I recall this process from the last time, and I found it to be very thorough and it was very thoughtful, I thought, as it developed. And you've laid it out almost exactly as we did it in the past, and I look forward to the opportunity to talk with you. And things have changed a little here since the last time we did this. And so I think there'll be some issues that we'll have to talk about in that regard. But all things considered, I appreciate your being here today and your presentation, and I look forward to speaking with you.
Thank you. Yeah. Likewise.
Commissioner Farrell?
Yeah, Doctor, I've been on this board for 10 months, so this would be my first strategic plan with this organization. I have done strategic plans in the past. In your estimation, is this current, or perhaps Chief Worth can address this, or Jane, Is this current strategic plan in dire need, or on what scale would you assess the need for revision?
So I would
fair?
have to, I'm not sure I can totally answer that question right
Okay.
now, because I have not yet looked at any of the data, or I don't have all of the input.
Okay.
Certainly, I think what I find and what I've heard from leadership is enough of the land use, enough of the change and the impacts between the 2022-25 plan and now, things have shifted.
Okay.
And so an understanding about how they shifted and what does that mean for the future, I think that the data can help us inform some of that. And it's, I'd also have to rely on Chief Worth and Director Thompson to also weigh in more. But as the public, what's the picture of the public and the residents there? That's certainly possible that there's some different priorities that they're identifying. But really, I would turn that question back to the leadership team.
Okay.
Sure, and I'll just add on to that. So the current strategic plan went into effect February 22. 7 months
Okay.
later, we
Yeah.
had heard.
Okay.
So we've revisited the strategic plan and looked at it, and some of the goals in there are still applicable. What we've done is we've done a cursory look at those goals and objectives, and each operations, life safety, everybody's taken the goals that are related to their area, and they're already starting to consider them, talk with their folks, and see how we need to refashion those for where we are, where we think we want to be 3 years from now.
Okay.
So there will be changes. It's not going to be a continuation of the same goals
Understood.
and objectives. And some of those we weren't able to meet. They basically got put on the shelf because of recovery efforts.
Okay. All right.
So,
Thank you.
yes.
And this is, I believe, Chief, don't we have a renewal cycle that we always go back to revisit, revise, and approve?
We do. Typically, we try to keep a 3-year cycle. on
Yes.
this.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. I guess I'll go last, Dr. Banyan. I guess my biggest concern right now is because of the change in our community and the number of residents we have, full-time versus transitional. How do we ensure the purity of the online community survey so we're not influenced by other folks who are just out there with an opinion as to what the organization should be and doing
Sure.
that aren't stakeholders?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and often something that I think is an important consideration. So 2 things I would say about that. One is that online survey is one piece of information. So I don't ever treat that as this is what you should do, because it's one piece of information. The other piece is that it's not a scientific survey. So that's why I also encourage you to not consider this to be the gold standard for public input, because it's going to be driven by people who are motivated to respond. That's still useful to do, because I think you can get some good feedback about what the respondents are thinking. It can sometimes bring up some good information that maybe hadn't been considered. So there's that. I always caution, it's not an expensive survey to do, so I wouldn't skip it because it's not expensive, but I also think it has some value. But is it your voters? Sometimes, and certainly there is a subsection of voters that respond. The other piece that I think about with this survey is I always ask, and you'll see it in the previous, if you have the previous plan, I always ask, are you a full-time resident? Are you a part-time resident, business owner? Do you own a home? Those sorts of things. Because then we can understand a little bit more about who's responding. I have not found in any of these community surveys, I have not found over manipulation by developers or interest. It seems pretty it's not a ton of responses, so I don't see folks flooding the survey to try to manipulate the survey. And it seems fairly balanced in terms of when I'm looking at the census and what we know about full-time residents and that proportion versus part-time residents or renters. It seems pretty balanced in terms of who's responding. The other thing I will do is I collect the IP addresses, and you'll see that, I think, reported in your last survey. I collect IP addresses because then I look for duplicates. So if I'm seeing 30 responses from one IP address, it makes me kind of look a little bit more into that. That means it's coming from one household,
Right.
and somebody's responded, many times. There could be an IP address though that's a public library. I have not found in any of the surveys I've done for the district, I haven't found more than 2 responses per IP address. And that makes sense, maybe 2 people living in a household, all pretty reasonable. But I do look for those things because I want to make sure, to the extent we can, that you're not getting that kind of undue influence. All that gets reported. So again, sort of with all of those things, I don't worry too much about what information is coming forward from the survey. I also would like to do some community input that's not survey related. So if there's an opportunity for a small focus group or for any condo association or anything like that, I want to be able to engage with that so I can hear what people are actually saying.
Great.
I know that was a very long-winded answer to your question.
It answered everything perfectly. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
We've also, Dr. Banion's aware of our merger study that's ongoing.
Okay.
We talked about that, and when that survey went out, we had about 125 respondents in the Fort Myers Beach district. About 30 of those asked for more information. So the point behind that is that we have some points of contacts where people took
Good.
time to do the survey, and they might be, good resources for this one as well.
That's great.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Thank you. Anything else from the board? We're good. Thank you, Dr. Banion. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll be following up with each of you individually to set up a one-on-one time to chat.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Great.
Look forward to it.
Thank you. And I'm going to jump off. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Perfect.
Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Good to see everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Chief, we have no action on this item at this time, correct?
That's correct. This was peer awareness, just an intro to
Sure.
the process.
Good work, and look forward to getting this updated. Jane, thanks for your work on it as well. All right, next item on new business is the updated life safety fee schedule.
Thank you. So in your packets, you have information, you have the new fee schedule. Jennifer and her team, Jane, they all put a lot of work into reviewing the fee schedule, making sure the methodologies were right. We've had some conversations as we met with community members on special events over the last couple of years. Got feedback there. So first thing is I want to thank Jennifer for the work she's done here. The first page in there, even though the writing is pretty small, it is a summary that I asked her to do rather than, because the fee schedule is basically a whole rewrite. We can go through the whole schedule if you want, or if you want to, look at the summary, you have the, in blue, you have the proposed schedule. And then next to that is the current fee schedule. And then in the next 2 columns, Jennifer did an example for each of those line items to show you how the fees would either go up or go down. And I went through and did a highlight of the differences, and about half of them go up a little bit and about half come down a little bit. So if you've had a chance to look through that, I can answer questions, or I can do a deep dive into it if you'd like.
Any questions specific? I think we're probably good with just a summary review.
Yeah.
Okay. So some of the high points that we hit on, we're looking at, you'll notice, like under the inspectors, a lot of the rates for inspections have gone down, because what we found is that the methodology we were using before had a certain number of hours. Jennifer was able to go back through the data and look at time on task and better refine the numbers. So there's two big pieces here. You know, the fee schedule that you're looking at, the proposed one, is based on a 30% recovery. It's also included in that is adjusting for the salaries as they are today versus what they were the last time we did this. So with salaries obviously going up, you would expect everything to go up. The other component is, as she looked at time on task, what we realized is there were some places where we had a fee schedule and it didn't represent actual time on task. So as she was able to apply those changes, it helped to bring, you know, a lot of the numbers down, so that we ended up where we are with about half of the items going up and half going down. And if you want, I can, don't mind. So just looking at the plan review, that first page, for example, the first row on architectural plan review, those fees are a decrease over the current by a few dollars in both plan review and inspections. Under fire sprinklers, it went up by a few dollars on both. Fire alarms went down. Hood systems went up slightly, as did new pre-engineered suppression systems. Things like bidirectional amplifiers, fire pump reviews, those both went down. Under standpipes is an example of applying it. The plan review went up slightly by $19. The inspections came down by $276. So that time on task analysis really allowed us to refine this in every place we could. Fuel storage systems, for example, plan review went down by about almost $80. Inspections went down $130. The next one down on gas lines, plan review went up slightly, but inspections came down slightly. So I can run through every line item if you want, but that's a general analysis of where we're at. I can answer any specific questions, and we have Jen here if there's any detailed questions.
I guess the one question that comes to mind for me, does our cost recovery include any software, IT, admin time for billing?
The cost recovery includes all the software. It includes the inspector's time, the vehicle depreciation. All that loaded number includes everything.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioner Farrell, anything?
Unbelievable, but yeah, that's overwhelming, but thank you.
Commissioner Nichols?
No, I think it looks great. I appreciate the time and detail that you went into to legitimately look at the time on task as opposed to some arbitrary number that was pulled out of thin air. Mm-hmm. And that I think is fair to the community, and it's good for the district. So thank you.
Mr. Fleming?
Again, thank you to show what we're showing the community exactly what you're paying for. Sure, it was a lot of work.
Yeah, outstanding job. Thank you. I appreciate all the work and time. It's a big part of our business as a fire district, and it's important to see that be a real number, not an arbitrary, just because we can type fee, which is outstanding. Chief, anything further to add?
No, again, thank you to Jennifer and her team. The only other thing is rather than a motion, we have a resolution to adopt these fees. That's further back on this item, and we only need to read the header.
Okay. Do I have a volunteer to read the header on the resolution?
Let's try to get to it. There it is.
All right, I can do it.
Okay,
I'm trying to find it.
Resolution
Yeah, no,
number 2025-03 is a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Fort Myers Beach Fire Control District, Lee County, Florida, to amend user fees authorized by Florida law, to rescind all previous resolutions and fee schedules in conflict, and to provide for severability, providing for an effective date. I will make that motion. for approval. And we have a second. Discussion, questions, public input? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Commissioner Fleming,
Yes.
Commissioner Nickel.
Yes.
I will also vote yes. Commissioner Farrell,
Yes.
and Commissioner Lezak is absent, so it passes 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you, and we'll get that signed when we're done with the meeting.
All right. Next item on new business is updates to the board policies.
So as you know, our board policies require us to take a look at them once a year and bring forward any changes. We talked about this at the last meeting and solicited for input at the last meeting and then throughout the month between then and now. So what you have in front of you is a collection of the revisions that were either identified by staff or by the commissioner group. And you have your handbook in here, and then you have 4 or 5 other policies included. And most of those policies were small changes, like from department to district and whatnot. So they're basically cleaning up some verbiage.
Great, thank you, sir. I know the chief and I worked on this a little bit together and independently. The one kind of major thing that I recommend is eliminating the work session meetings, because every meeting we have is truly a meeting. We don't do work sessions anymore. The previous board 7-8 years ago was in the work session. So every meeting we have is a regular meeting. We can take action and approve and make motions just like whether it's morning or evening. And then there were some general housekeeping on the one thing, like Skype is gone, so we had to put that to Teams. Again, anything referring to work sessions, and then it comes down to, and I asked the chief for help on this one, responsibilities for the commissioners, because even though we've done it verbally and we do it through training and work sessions at our annual retreat, there's no real clearly defined, other than statute, on what we are. But this kind of just goes through what we're responsible for and how we should act within the structure of the district. And I feel that's important. It makes it easier for us to go to it, and for a new member to have a reference to go to kind of look at on what their authority, responsibility, and those types of things are highlighted in. Beyond that, does anybody else have any input, changes, notes?
My only comment is on the additional information that you've included under section 4, responsibilities, I think are very important to get those in writing and get them out there, not only for new members, but to remind those of us that have been here for a while from time to time to kind of review and make sure we stay in the straight and narrow, so to speak, stay on task, I guess.
Anybody else?
It's been 5 years in general on all this. It's time to do
Oh yeah, for an update. I know we've massaged little things here and there, but it's I looked at it a little harder, and with the chief's help, he did as well. So our next step, I guess, is do we comfortable with accepting the changes as noted, and we'll have a hard copy and a vote this meeting, or do we want to push it to the next meeting?
Hold on 1 second.
Yes, ma'am.
Chairman Bennett, if you wouldn't mind, I would just like to, there was one change that was made in terms of capital assets and the way that we save for them. The district has updated its internal capital asset policy to reflect anything over the threshold of $5,000 per capital asset. But we also made a change in that in your old policy, it said that we would save for apparatus other than ambulances to 20% and then
Okay.
finance the rest. But what we have been doing and would like to continue the practice that we started a few years ago since Ian, because we, obtained some additional funding, would be to put 100% funding into the CAP plan, the capital plan, and only do debt service on buildings and ladder trucks.
Okay.
So we're moving the engines, if you will, just the engines, not the ladder truck, over to 100% savings to replace.
Do we have those changes noted?
They are reflected.
Okay.
But I didn't see the red line.
That's what I was just
but the
looking for. I
change
didn't
is
see it.
reflected in here. I just wanted to call that to your attention because it is a bit of a shift in the way that we save for replacement.
Let's see. Just looking for sunshine. I would think, Chief, if the rest of the board agrees that we just accept the changes unless there's others noted. We get a hard copy for that at the next meeting for each of us, and then we'll approve the policy manual at that point.
Sounds good.
Is that good with everybody?
Yeah.
Yes.
That seems like a good way to proceed.
And again, thanks everybody for their input and hard work, and it's a team effort, so I appreciate it. Next item on new business takes us to budget review. Chief.
Very good.
Thank you.
Okay, so you have hard copies of the presentation I'll put up on the screen of the summary of the budget review. You also have on the back of that is a summary from the actual budget itself. So currently we are at 2.8 mils. And in preparing the budget, we took a conservative approach because we're trying to look towards the future. We're looking at the signs in the housing. We're hearing what the property appraiser is telling people publicly. We're looking at the economy. So we're taking a bit of a conservative approach to this budget. You'll see when we get to reserves, money that we are going to be carrying forward. We're going to, new monies into the reserves. We're allocating it towards millage sustainment with the anticipation that we might see a decline in revenue next year and for some of the future years. Currently, we're at 2.8 mils. We are working off a taxable value of 4.8 billion, and in our current budget, that has generated approximately $13 million in ad valorem revenue. For the upcoming year, we're proposing to lower the millage slightly to 2.76 mils, with a taxable value of 5.46 billion in property values. That's going to generate about 15 million in revenue from ad valorem. Stop me at any time if you want to jump into questions. Just as a note, while it's not on the screen, our ad valorem revenue prior to the storm was about 13.8 million. So this is the first year we will be beyond the revenue we had in 2022. Yes, sir.
Do you remember what that taxable value was in 22, Chief?
I don't. I know it was over 5 billion.
Okay.
But that revenue was generated on a millage rate of 298,675. So.
Thank you.
So what this revenue represents is about a 9% increase in the ad valorem revenue. However, with reopening of the fire station, hiring the people and everything, we're looking at an increase in expenses of about 12.9%. So we're running a little bit tighter budget than we were in the prior years. So the different revenue sources that we have, as you know, the majority of our funding comes from ad valorem. We're looking at about 14.3 million coming from the property taxes. And why is that different than the 15 million on the other page? Is because we build our budget on a 95% collection rate. Life safety fees, we're budgeting 550,000. Our current budget for life safety fees is 850, based on what we were seeing last year. Unfortunately, for the community and everybody else, we're not seeing as much activity as we anticipated. We're expecting to finish the year at about 605,000 in revenue. And based on the trends and the other things we talked about activity in the housing market, we're budgeting at 550 for the upcoming year. On interest earned, we're expecting to receive 525,000. There's not much difference between the current budget and what we're moving forward in the coming year. Excuse me. For our transport fees, our current budget is at 110,000. Trying to get to my notes. Sorry. So our current budget is 110,000 for our transport fees. We're anticipating that we're actually going to bring in about 240,000. So we're seeing an increase in our transports and patients that we're taking to the hospital. Part of our year, in the upcoming year, we'll have the Station 31 open. And once our staffing is where we need it to be, that second rescue will come up. So we're setting our anticipated transport fees at $375,000 for the coming year. And then that firefighter supplemental income, that's something you see every year, and that is a pass-through from the state for associates and bachelor's degrees, advanced degrees. Impact fees, currently we're at 40,000 on impact fees. The upcoming year, we're only putting 10,000 in the budget. One of the things that's happened this year is that the fire districts got together with the county and asked the county to spearhead a impact fee study for the fire districts. One of the things about our community is because we didn't really change densities in the land development code after the storm, there's not a big expectation of new residents to our district over the next coming 5 to 10 years. Impact fees for additional services needed and infrastructure is based on housing or taking on new residents. So the people that are rebuilding, unless they're changing density on their buildings as they're rebuilding them, it doesn't affect them on impact fees. They've already paid them. So with that, we only expect about 10,000. The sale of assets is just trade-in value on a few of the vehicles. Insurance grant program, that 5,000 is something that we get every year for positive experiences through our insurance carrier. And we apply that to suppression equipment or different things to help operations. And then revenues carried forward are anticipated at 25.6 million. That brings our total revenues and reserves to $41,428,494. Any questions on revenue? On the expenses side, the first expense obviously is our biggest expense is personnel, $14,297,700. Of that, $8.6 million is salaries. Almost 3.9 million of that is benefits, and those benefits include pension, they include all your Medicare, your Social Security, workers' comp, and things of that nature. The only thing not included in those benefits is health and life insurance, and that's about $1.8 million. One of the things in the benefits that's changed, there's a few things. So this number is changed from the current year for a couple of reasons. The current year has operational personnel staffing at 48, which is full staffing, or 16 per shift, starting in June. As we anticipated hiring people for the new station, we chose June. So we've been funding 48 positions since June 1st in the current year. We will have those 48 positions for the entire year in the upcoming budget. So that obviously changed the payroll costs. The other thing is that we've had a couple pretty big hits. We have about a $310,000 increase in health insurance costs and about a $185,000 increase in pension costs. Not attributed to the new people, just in changes in cost to the existing people. Under professional and contractual services, you'll see that includes legal, professional services, our medical director, accounting, and whatnot. About $400,000 of that, almost $900,000, goes back to the property appraiser and the tax collector for their efforts. The design team for headquarters and training center is about $250,000. Legal services represents about $60,000. Our medical director's agreement is $48,000. $36,000 is accounting, and then $16,000 will go towards our strategic plan. Under communications, we pick up things like the Verizon, which covers our phones in the offices, cell phones, tablets, hotspots, all the technology we're using out in the field. That represents about $37,000 of communications and freight. Our two-way radios, our emergency radios, those fees to be on the county system and for routine maintenance is $34,000. CenturyLink represents about $16,000, and then there's some cursory costs in addition to those. Under occupancy expenses and commercial insurances, we have $405,000. You can see our utilities make up about $121,000 of that, and then our insurances, property and liability, make up about $285,000. Under repairs and maintenance, you see $385,000. Repairs and maintenance includes EMS equipment, suppression and rescue gear equipment that has to be either maintained or repaired. Vehicles, repairing vehicles is at $140,000. Building repairs is at $175,000. There's $26,000 for the EMS and $41,000 for maintaining the suppression and rescue gear. Miscellaneous items and contingencies is $34,000. Operating supplies and tools is $782,000. Normally not that large of a line item, but there's a couple reasons for that. Is that we're opening a new fire station, and we have our air packs in there as well, because they won't fund until the upcoming year. I'm sorry, the air packs are not in this part. So what does make this up is about $48,000 of that is fuel. Medical supplies make $90,000. Firefighting gear for the new firefighters is $200,000. We have FF&E, which is furnishings for the new fire station. It also includes the IT package for the new station. That's $225,000 of this amount. What else do we have in here? Cleaning supplies are $19,000, and then we have another $10,000 for communication parts and pieces. Under education and training, we have $293,000. Of that, $46,000 is the individual education plans. So each year we ask each member that are developing themselves to submit an updated education plan. That allows us to budget for the expensive classes taken and seminars and stuff like that. $46,000 of this is attributed to those individual plans. Internal training programs for fire and EMS, we have $24,000. Third-party training, which is bringing in outside experts, we have $51,000. We have earmarked $15,000 for the new training chief initiatives. If any programs come up that he hasn't had a chance to put in place, we don't want to have to wait a whole year to make sure he can hit the ground running. For conferences, we have conferences identified. That could be FASD. FDIC is the big one for the firefighters. We have Operative IQ for for our equipment maintenance. So for those conferences, we have $32,000 earmarked. License renewals, we have $10,000, and then related travel expenses for all the conferences, there's $100,000 in there, and that covers mileage, room and board, and airfare if it's out of the way. So one of the things we've talked about in the past on these conferences is getting the folks out to do the hands-on. I'm happy to say that we've had good interest in going out to what is the premier live fire center, which is a fire department training network. It's in Indianapolis. We have Darwin, he's going to be going to that this year, but we have 10 spots in the budget for a couple of groups to go next year as well. And that's to get them out there, and it's a very intensive week of live fire training and doing multiple burns. So, you see 100,000 in there. We have some airfares out to Indianapolis. Account for that. Under other services, we have 136,000. Of that, 86,000 is our participation in the USAR team. That expense has gone up considerably this year over last year for a couple of reasons. The first one is that we had to take on a bigger facility, so our rent rates have gone up. And the other one is that we are attributing some monies into a reserve fund to try and buy a property so we don't have to keep rent and we can build a permanent facility down the road. Outreach programs, we have 13,000 set aside, and then 38,000 goes to collections for their work on handling our EMS billing. Under debt service, you'll see that we have 166,000. I'm happy to say that that's our only debt that we have, and that is, we have 2 more years after this year, and that is for, is it just a ladder truck, or is it the ladder truck and engine 32?
It's a combo.
A combo. So we have 2 more years of this $160-some thousand payment, and then we will be debt free. So we're to the reserves. As Jane had mentioned earlier, and thank you for bringing that up, our capital sustainment fund is where we save the money for replacement of assets over 5,000 in here, and that's things like apparatus, our staff vehicles, suppression equipment, communications, FF&E that's over 5,000 in value. So in those reserves, did I pass one? Okay, I just want to make sure I hit all the expenses. So in that fund, we have attributed 5.8 million saved up to buy the things we need to buy in the future as we move forward. Also under the reserves is a building replacement fund. This was in the current budget, it was 13 million when we started the year. It's down to 10 million because we have moved out 3.5 million, which will be the difference between the state's monies and what we need to finish the fire station. So this 10 million is the remaining building fund, and it's attributed all towards the headquarters and training. So that's where we stand on our collection of dollars to get that facility constructed. The millage sustainment fund in the current budget, it's about 250,000 lower. As I had spoke about, we're looking to carry over about 257,000, and we're putting that all into the millage sustainment fund with the anticipation that we might have to use that next year to some extent. The disaster response fund, as you know, that's for working 30 days all out. That can be us having up to 2 full shifts of folks here for an extended period of time after a storm when we're in recovery mode, and that also accrues a lot of overtime when that happens. It also leaves us some funds in that amount that we can get started with putting the buildings back together and getting them in service. And then finally, the firefighter presumptive illness. That's for up to 2 claims a year, and that 50,000 is the same as it is in the current budget. So that puts our designated reserve fund balance at the end at $19,261,377. And finally, to summarize it, We're looking at total revenues of $15,828,494. The fund balance brought forward is anticipated at $25,600,000 for a total revenue of $41,428,494. And then our total expenditures are anticipated at $22,167,117, with reserve funds of $19,261,377 for a balanced budget of $41,428,494. That, I will take questions.
Good job. Commissioner Farrell.
I see big words in there that I'm not familiar with.
Okay.
Can you tell me what a millage sustainment fund is for?
Yes. So rather than, if you went through 0809, we had a radical decrease in property values.
Okay.
So our revenue is generated based on total property value of the district and the millage rate set at the time.
Okay.
So the millage sustainment fund allows us to smooth out any issues that we might have. For this coming year, I anticipate the potential to see a reduction in property values, which would mean a reduction in revenue.
Okay.
So hopefully that wouldn't be a long-term thing, but if it went for a year or two and we had shortfall, the millage sustainment fund is where we go to make up that shortfall.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Commissioner Nickel.
I'm impressed, really. It seems like a very well thought out budget. The changes that are coming, I think it's a challenge to try to budget for the implementation of the new firehouse and all of those people, thinking through all of the little details that have to be in place in order to put that into service. And it looks like you've got it all covered here financially, and I think you and Jane have done a great job putting this together so that we're prepared for the upcoming year. So,
Obviously couldn't have done it without her, but there have been several meetings with staff, throughout to look at the revenues, the expenses, Jen's work on the life safety schedule.
yep.
It's hard because, I was both building houses and I was on the job when the economy corrected last time.
Right.
I've been through 3 buyouts at my prior employer when the economy corrected from 90 to the time I left in 2017, where buyouts had to be done to make budget. We had to use federal grant to bring people back that had to be laid off. Fort Myers, I wasn't here, but Fort Myers Beach had, folks that had to be laid off. It was kind of tough in that way to take all those factors in, but with us bringing new folks on, the last thing we would want to do is bring them on and then have to let them go in the form of layoffs. So, we're being a little conservative, but I think the next few years, if we don't have the negative experiences, then we can keep trending down on the millage rate.
It's very challenging to try to predict the growth rate and what that actual growth rate will be as opposed to a pie in the sky growth rate that we heard a lot about right after the storm. And so I applaud you for taking a more conservative approach to this and making sure that we're adequately budgeted for the year. So thanks. Thank you.
Ron?
I agree with everything Jim said. The amount of work is tremendous. I'm more optimistic in the future of the island. I think we're going to come back a little faster. And you can't build anything on the island for less than, new, 1.5 million or so, instead of a shack that was worth 200, 400. So, the number of permits are down, but I think we're going to do better than some people think. But we have to plan in case that doesn't happen.
I absolutely agree with you. I think when everything comes back, that we're going to be in fine shape. Again, with the permits being down, and the thing is that we have to build this budget with, our snapshot happens in 4 months. So I did reach out to the town trying to do some projections, and they shared with me permits that have been closed or finalized since January till August. And so we were able to look at some of the properties that are going to be coming on the books. While it's a lot of money, it's 50 million or something, when you look at it in the scheme of 5.4 billion in property values, it's a small percentage. So, you know, and we're seeing numbers, and 5-10% decrease in property values. So we are seeing that. I agree with you. I think when the condos come back online, plus all the new construction, we're going to be fine. Which goes to your question, what the heck is a millage sustainment fund? This is exactly the purpose for it. So.
It also prevents us from having to go to try to deal with where that revenue is going to come from, and maybe having to change our rate
Right.
in an emergency kind of mode.
Right.
Thanks. I agree with everybody else. I mean, the amount of work that goes into this, and when we look at our job, this process is one of the major reasons we exist, is to keep this budget in line and oversee it. But honestly, the hard work is with you and the rest of the staff and Jane on putting numbers together that make sense, where we can afford our people, our response, our responsibility to the community. It's a scope that is hard to understand, I guess, by the average person. But thankfully, you guys always put a good package together for us, and this is no exception. And I appreciate the conservative approach as well. I mean, I always hope for better, but I think this is a good way for us to look at our coming year, and hopefully we're proven wrong in the right way.
Well said.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Our next item, and thanks, Jane. Next item is Chief's evaluation. And I guess I will head this one. Every year we evaluate Chief's performance based on our take of the job he's doing and the community feedback we get from our friends, neighbors, and voters. We do this on a graded scale of points that's been modified a couple of times since I've been around, but this is a pretty fair way to judge his performance or her performance if there's ever a lady in the role. We'll each go around the table. Commissioner Lezak met one-on-one with the chief prior to her not being here, went over her review with him one-on-one, and at the end of our discussion, Jane will read her scores into record, so we have those for the overall evaluation. And then once those numbers are tabulated, we will address any pay changes at a next meeting, whether it be, I'd anticipate after the budget's finalized. So with that, rating guidelines are pretty generalized. You either develop, which is a 1 on the low end, you're proficient, which is a 2, which means you meet the minimum requirements, and then the highest level you can get on any one category is a 3, which means the chief is exceeding expected performance guidelines, values and goals, and definitely exceptional quality in meeting any demands for the district overall. And then at the end, it'll be a cumulative score between all of us. This appraisal period is from last year to this year at this point. And with that, we will go right into it. I'll try to go down and around the table individually and give us all a chance to open, discuss, and then each commissioner will have a chance to discuss his grade for that, and we'll keep moving through the categories that way. So our first category is one we're hot off of, is financial management. And I will start with Commissioner Farrell.
Pressure. Pressure.
No pressure.
My first evaluation. I'm giving the chief a 3. Always organized, always prepared.
All right. Commissioner Nickel.
I also gave the chief a 3 in this area. I think you keep us very well informed as to the budget process, as we just discussed here, and how that's going to unfold. You explain purchases and schedules of purchases, and you answer any questions that we might have. You meet with us if need be individually to answer those questions. So I think you've done a great job in this particular area, and I rated you a 3.
Commissioner Fleming?
The way this is set up, I think I may have said it last time, I'd rather see something like 1 to 10, because our only choice is he's perfect or he meets minimum requirements, which is kind of odd. That said, financial management, a 3.
Okay, thank you. I also rated the chief a 3. The thing I appreciate is you always continue to analyze, adjust as needed, our budget, and looking forward to the next year, meeting our financial goals. Conservative spending is always a model that's proven successful, and that's much appreciated. Thank you, sir. Brings us to category 2, which is personnel management. Commissioner Nickel.
Yes, I rated the chief a 3 in this area. The chief has done an excellent job, I think, of explaining the need for the reorganization of the command structure to us. We had many meetings and many questions, and I thought you did a great job of explaining that to me. Bringing our agency in alignment with other agencies. You've also continued in the organization with them. This wasn't a perfect process. Not everybody agreed with you, and not everybody was happy necessarily with these changes. But I think you have handled those issues with professionalism, and they're part of the job. This isn't something where everybody agrees with everything that you do. I think you have made a strong effort to keep the public informed as to what's going on. We've had meetings with the public, and we're also handling this upcoming review of whether or not we would merge with Iona, and that impacts personnel management and personnel planning. And also then now we're bringing on another firehouse, and so the management of that process in terms of the people, the equipment, the training, all of that. So this area, I think, takes in a lot more than just 1 or 2 little things. And if you look at it, if you go back and look at it from a whole, I think you've done an outstanding job managing all of that. And so I rated you a 3.
Okay. Commissioner Fleming.
Also a 3.
Okay, thank you. Sir?
I've rated Chief Worth as a 3 as well. He has done a remarkable job in surrounding himself with very, very qualified people. 2 of them, 3 of them seem to be in this room right now. So, 3.
Thank you. I also rated the chief a 3. Again, his recruitment and balancing of staffing when we're down a station, but one's coming online, so we need to get those folks on board. Our new chiefs at headquarters, the level of experience, expertise, and professionalism in those individuals is truly appreciated, and I have no doubt we're going to come out a bigger and better organization in the future through those efforts. So thank you, sir. Number 3 is strategic planning. Commissioner Fleming.
I like it that everything we already covered is right after we do your evaluation. Again, a 3. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Nick.
Yes, I rated the chief a 3 in this area. Obviously, we have a great strategic plan and planning process, as evidenced by what happened at start the process now at the meeting. So.
Thank you. Commissioner Farrell?
I also gave the chief a 3, and I think today's introduction to the strategic plan is witness to that.
Thank you, sir. I also rated the chief a 3 in this category. Again, on target and timely management of the strategic plan, and keeping the organization within those parameters, and that it's a living document. It needs to be updated, and it's also a resource to go back to and justify our decisions and what we do, because that's what ultimately the organization and the community wants, and it's a hard balance to strike. And again, it's always a moving target, as Dr. Banyan said. So, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next category is number 4, leadership. Commissioner Farrell, I'll start with you.
I rated the chief a 3 on this one as well. He's doing an exemplary job. I'm impressed.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Nickel?
I also rated the chief a 3 in this area. As stated before, I think he's done an outstanding job of balancing all of the needs of the district as we move forward with the new station, as well as other issues that we're responding to and dealing with. I also recognize that not everyone in the world is going to say that they would agree necessarily with that, but that's par for the course when you're a public servant. And I think you handle any questions, you make yourself available, and everything you say and do makes good sense and is consistent with what I perceive to be industry standards, with what we should be doing as an organization. So I also find it very interesting that from time to time when we have manpower shortages, a medic will show up or an engine will show up, and the chief is riding the engine. He's working. And to me, this is a high level of leadership on his part, because many places they would never do that. The chief would just never do that. And so I think that's an outstanding quality that you have exhibited.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Fleming?
Chief Worth and I have discussed this multiple times. On this, I'm giving you 2. I disagree still with the decision that was made, and I accept it, move on. But since this is an evaluation, I'm being honest, and as I said, we've talked about this. So on this one, and that's another reason why for next year we can have a work session or something. I mean, we need to change. You're either okay or you're perfect. And I think we need to change that.
Sure. We can discuss that at the next board retreat when we set our new goals.
Thank
It's
you.
a good time to do it.
Good idea.
Thanks, Ron. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I rated the chief a 3 in leadership, and it's for the exact same reasons that Commissioner Fleming gave him a 2. It's easy to lead when you're trying to be popular. It's hard to be a leader when you have to make the hard decisions, especially ones that are fought in the public with a lot of emotion, understandably. But beyond that, I mean, that's one small decision in a year's worth of leadership. I've seen him ride the truck. I've seen him work holidays. I've sat with him and discussed topics that I would have handled much differently, but his leadership experience, his demeanor, he's always professional, and in my opinion, he's a little bit innovative in some of his thinking with the way the organization should go. And for that, I gave him a 3, and I do appreciate his efforts. He's heard it from me multiple times, but it's an important thing. And again, it's hard to be a leader when you have to make the hard decisions, and I appreciate it. So, thank you, sir. All right. Item number 5 is community, governmental, and industry guidelines. So that's the chief's interaction with the community, internally, externally, whether it be the county, the beach, and again, we've all had a chance to see him, I think, do that one-on-one. So I will start with Commissioner Nickel.
Again, I rated the chief a 3 in this area. I think he represents the district very professionally. He makes himself available to attend all of the necessary meetings and area meetings with the county and other fire districts. essentially demonstrates a thorough knowledge of what we're doing and where we're going and what the industry would expect of us. And so I rated him a 3.
Thanks, sir. Commissioner Fleming?
I also rate the chief a 3. You see him he's out and about, he'll talk to whoever wants to talk to him. So yes, a 3.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Farrell?
I also rated the chief a 3. I think he is the face and the voice of this district, and I think he presents all of us in the district in a very positive way. Saw him recently on a social media interview, presented himself very well.
Tough environment.
Carry on.
Thank you. I also rated the chief a 3 in this category. I've had the pleasure to be with him in public forums and meetings and interactions with the county, and it's always for me a big level of confidence that I have whenever I see the chief and know that he's going to be pushed on a topic or pushed in front of a camera or maybe get a hard criticism for a member of the public, which is rare, but it does happen. He always takes the time to offer a meeting to explain the situation, an email if the folks don't want to meet. And I honestly have seen very few people in his position willing to go that extra mile to ensure that the person who has the objection or the concern truly understands where his decision was made, why it was made, and the facts behind it. So again, good job there, Chief. I appreciate it. Item number 6, category 6, is Board of Fire Commissioners, how the chief interacts with us in our process. Commissioner Farrell, I'll start with you.
I rated the chief a 3 on this one. As witness to we're always prepared. He is proactive in contacting us for meetings ahead of the commission meetings so that these are effective, these are efficient, and we're not wasting anyone's time rehashing things that have already been discussed. So I appreciate that effort.
Thank you. Commissioner Fleming.
Chief Worth deserves a 3 on this. He keeps us up to date what's going on in the district. Thank you.
Commissioner Nickel.
I also rated the chief a 3. In addition to what I would call your normal interaction with the commissioners, I find it exceptional that you keep us informed if there's an event, an incident that's unfolding somewhere on the island or in the district, that you can let us know, because a lot of times people will come to us and say, what's going on? I saw all the trucks and engines and I heard there's a big wreck somewhere. Typically, you've already told us about it, and I have the ability then to kind of respond to people. And I have to say, for me, that's very helpful, and I appreciate that. So I rated you a 3.
I also rated the chief as a 3 in this category. Again, I feel that he goes above and beyond in interacting with the board, making sure we're informed. If we have concerns, providing time for meetings or phone calls, no matter where either party may be, if he's away on vacation or training or here or vice versa, if we're out of town, he's always good about keeping us in line, informed, guiding us as a unit of 5 people that are up here doing this job. So I certainly appreciate it, sir. Thank you. All right. Category 7, disaster planning and management. Commissioner Nickel, I'll start with you.
I rated the chief a 3 here as well. The district is, in my opinion, very well prepared for storm season. We have a lot of policies and procedures in place. We have a lot of experience in the field. And I know for a fact that the planning that we have done will pay off in the final analysis. And that our experience is going to help us guide us through. And I trust your experiences as you've gone through this as well. So I think you've done a great job here getting us ready for any issue that would come up. So I rate you a 3. Thank you.
Commissioner Fleming.
Also a 3. Basically, Chief Worth, you've been planning for disaster for 2 years now, going on 3. But no, you definitely deserve a 3.
thank you. Commissioner Farrell?
I also rated Chief Worth a 3. There's plans in place. He has been very proactive about, for example, the high water vehicle, getting ahead of that and taking a look into it, things that we might need for such a disaster. So 3.
Okay, thank you. I also rated the chief a 3 in this category, again, for the reasons already stated by the other commissioners. To steal a quote on a Boy Scout term, he is always prepared. He's always working throughout the incident. If I'm up in the middle of the night at 2 a.m. and there's 4 inches of water inside of my house, I can call the chief and he says there's 12 inches down the other street, or he'll call me first and say, how you doing? So he has that compassion and concern for the entire community. And he's the guy that's out there in the truck in the middle of the night, trying to keep the crews prepared and the community safe. So again, thank you. Appreciate that. All right, that's our last category. Any final comments, Commissioner Fleming, you'd like to make on this year? No.
I think we're in good shape. Thank you for everyone who worked so hard to get everything done. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Nickel.
Thank you. I think you've done an outstanding job this past year. There have been a lot of issues that you've had to tackle through the course of the year, like Mr. Bennett said, it's easy to lead when everybody's happy and things are going wonderful. It's a lot tougher to lead when you're faced with challenging issues, and I think you've done a great job in handling all of those. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Farrell.
I wrote a little something, if that's
fine, yeah. Please.
That'd be all right. Being the new guy on this commission, I get to say that for a couple more months. I'm taking every advantage of it. My experience and interactions with Chief Worth have been substantially less than that of my 4 colleagues here today, but having attended these meetings for several years prior to my election to this board, I was able to glean a sense of Chief Worth's abilities, knowledge, and professionalism. And when I was sworn in this past November, I also had my own set of expectations of the chief, and he has exceeded them all. He's prepared. Chief Worth is well prepared for our meetings and prepares us as well. One-on-one meetings prior to each commission meeting assures us all, including the taxpayers, of efficient, effective, and impactful discussions and votes on issues brought before this board. Organized. Chief Worth gets information and relevant materials to each commissioner in a timely fashion so that we have time to review them ahead of each meeting, thus ensuring this board of effective and efficient discussion and deliberation of the issues at hand. He's knowledgeable. Chief Worth is knowledgeable about all facets of fire safety as well as departmental administration. He has been successful in surrounding himself with intelligent, qualified, and dedicated personnel who have the safety of the citizenry as their priority, as well as responsible fiscal management of the taxpayers' dollars close behind. Professional. Chief Worth is a professional at all times. As the face and voice of this district, Chief Worth has shown an exemplary disposition of knowledge and experience coupled with a sense of fiscal responsibility to the taxpayers of this district. In conclusion, while I am only 10 months or so into my term on this board, and as the only member of this board not a resident of the town of Fort Myers Beach, I feel very confident in Chief Worth's abilities as our district's fire chief. I believe we are all in good hands with him at the wheel, and I look forward to working with him over the coming years. Thank you.
Well said, sir.
Wow.
Thank you.
Great.
Made us all look like amateurs.
Just threw it together.
Well done.
Good job. I appreciate it. My last parting comments are pretty brief. I truly appreciate the chief's efforts. The 2 things that highlight every day whenever I interact with him on any topic or subject is he always puts the district first, no matter what. And he makes the hard decisions with every matter that happens and comes in front of the district as the leader, as our CEO. And I truly appreciate it and the work he's done, and I look forward to the coming year and getting over challenges and growth and cutting a ribbon on a new firehouse. Hopefully a lot of positives without any disaster management in between. So thank you, sir. Good job.
Thank you.
Anything you'd like to add?
Just one thing first.
Yes, sir.
Do you want to read into the record, Commissioner?
Yeah, we'll do that. Jane's ready.
I'm ready, sir.
Go right ahead.
So Commissioner Lazak emailed me her completed form. She scored the chief 3 in all categories with a comment under category 2, personnel management, that says, need to continue to work with the union on issues that affect the operations branch and personnel. Would like to see channels of communication and collaboration kept open and interactive. So the total score is 104 out of 105. And once I put all of the comments into the record, I'll finalize the evaluation.
Great. Thank you. Appreciate it. Chief, any words?
So, to everybody, thank you for your confidence in me. You know, it's been a busy year, and you know, a lot's been accomplished. I'm glad that we're able to continue building out our team. We're working towards getting the station open, but you guys empower me to, you know, to operate the district. We can have, you know, very civil and professional conversations when we disagree. I appreciate, you know, frank conversations. Frankly, I found that I learn more from, you know, constructive feedback oftentimes than praise, so I appreciate both. And, you know, my hope is that by this time next year, you know, we continue to move forward and I can, you know, find that last point. But again, I appreciate your confidence in me.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, that concludes our new business items. Moves us on to the chief's remarks. Back to you, sir.
Thank you. So I got his permission this morning, but the first thing I want to do is talk about Chris Cox, our life safety specialist. If you don't know, Chris has been dealing with some health issues, specifically cancer. On Saturday, for the second time, he was able to ring the bell that he was cancer-free. And so we're kind of celebrating that at the office, but you know, Christina brought it up to me and Chris was there and, you know, said it was all right to share with you. So congratulations to him, and you know, we're glad to see that he's coming out the backside of his issue success. So also, as far as moving forward into the new year, we currently have the firefighter position open. We're taking applications. We also have a logistics coordinator, which is a retitle of Trevor's old job. He was facilities manager. So we're going a little more broad with that, but we're getting good feedback from both of those postings, and looking forward to getting some positions filled. It's looking like on the firefighter one, if you pay any attention at all, there is a tremendous shortage of firefighters around the state. And we get advertisements from the State Fire College, and it used to be 1 or 2 departments, and now it's 20 to 25 departments offering hiring bonuses and everything else. So everybody's going through it, but with that, I tell you that because we're working internally in anticipation of possibly having to do 2 ways of hiring to get everybody we need for the fire station. So that'll be an ongoing process, but you know, I'm happy to say that we have those positions open and we're looking to get them filled so we can get ready for the new station. So over the last few months, you know, we've brought on Chief Sears for training and Chief Sullivan for operations. Both of those gentlemen were able to do time in the field before they even started any administrative work. I wanted that when I hired on, but my orientation was Hurricane Irma, and I didn't get that, and I felt it was important. I want to highlight the fact that there are folks on the floor, even during the trying time that we've been going through with our operational changes, been very welcoming to both of the chiefs, so I do want to thank everybody for that. You know, we're already starting to see some output and some feedback. Chief Sears is out with the crews and doing, you know, some extrication training and mixing medical with you know, vehicle extrication, simulating a patient under a vehicle or in a vehicle and having to get the patient out. A new QR code system, so very durable QR codes on our equipment, where everybody we know has a device in their hand and they can just hit that QR code and they can find out things about the equipment itself, go to manuals, get just-in-time, real-time training bulletins and updated information. So some new innovative stuff that he's bringing to the organization already. Chief Sullivan's working on updating task books and getting ready for the new firefighters. So Melissa's been working with both of them and all of us from her HR perspective on health and wellness, and bringing everybody together. And with the guys on the floor who have an interest in the health and wellness, they've been proactively working towards spreading that out through the agency for anybody who feels like they need it. So a lot of good things happening. I wish I could take credit, but those are the experience and the innovations and the ideas that come with the group that we've selected to join the team. So thank you to everybody and everything they're doing in those areas. The merger study, we should have the second review of that any day now. We've been communicating with the consultant on that. So I get the sense that there's going to be a second review and then a final review, because he had mentioned one section that wasn't going to be in the second review. So we should see that any day. We're going to turn it around and keep that process moving. And then the last thing I'll put out there is we got notice our boat and trailer, our high water boat, our inflatable, is ready to be picked up. We're coordinating that, and we're going to go grab it from North Florida probably next week sometime. The pickup truck has already been raised. It has the lift kit, new tires on it. So that makes out our complement that we'll use for this season. Again, we threw it at Chief Sullivan, Chief Sears to put together the training, make sure that everybody's up to speed and trained. So they're working on that program for how we're going to train our folks and to what level we'll be able to use that boat, for high water in this coming season. So that's what we have going on right now.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah.
Commissioner Fleming, we're on the commissioner remarks. If you'd like to start.
I think I've said enough for today.
That's recorded, right?
No, I think we're in a good place. We have a good board, excellent staff, wonderful sworn people. All our employees, I think we're moving forward. We're optimistic that, just no storms this year. Just don't do it.
All in favor.
And everything that we're getting, the boat, and the pickup truck, and the high water truck, well, they'll all look great in grades. Hopefully that's my wish.
The shiniest ones in existence. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Commissioner Nickel.
I wanted to say we've been pretty busy here in the last few weeks, and you've kept us well informed as to those events as they were unfolding, and the questions I was able to answer because of that. And I guess I just want to relay a personal feelings of how proud I am of our organization and the men and women of this organization. I know that when they go into the field to work, they are well prepared, well trained, exceedingly capable and professional, and so it makes me very proud to be a part of this organization. So I thank you and everyone that works here, everybody, for doing such a great job and for this community and for the people here.
Thank you. Commissioner Farrell.
I also, like Commissioner Fleming, covered most of it already, but ever so briefly. I'm looking forward to participating in the strategic plan. Having not been here for the last one, this one looking forward to that. I want to thank Jennifer and Jane again for the updating the fee schedule, because holy cats. Happy to see the mill rate came down even further. When we initially planned for 2.8, now it's 2.76, which is in the right direction, so I think that shows a little responsibility. And then again, with the budget process, I think we're all in a good position for any contingencies, so I'm happy.
Thank you, sir. Not much more to add. It again, for the chief, another good year. Looking forward to many more. The district, again, we've been busy, but in good ways and in doing what the community has us in existence for, and that's to be there in their time of need, whether it's a neighbor, a friend, or somebody who's just visiting. They're all important to us. So we want to make sure we can deliver the best service possible, and that's what I see. So I'm glad to see that and the continual improvement in education and experience, and some of the innovations that are coming around are really exciting. So thanks to the staff. Thanks to Jane again for good budget prep. Again, it's a huge job and it's a major part of our existence. The five of us put together could not even come halfway to where she is with budget planning. So I appreciate all of her efforts and expertise. Yes, sir.
Office, I was talking with Christina, and she was talking about how August is a month where we have a tendency to not need to meet. So for the last few years, her anniversary hasn't been announced, and I almost missed it. So my last thing is for our August anniversaries, Captain Mike Brown has 24 years this year. Assistant Chief Randy Krause is 21 years. And Life Safety Executive Assistant Christina Ensor with 4 years. And also Plan Reviewer, our part-time guy Brad Henson has 4 years. So thank you for
Thank you, sir. Anything further? With that, meeting's adjourned.